clam chowder, and it's not the typical recipe you're probably used to. I start by adding 1 tablespoon of olive oil to a large cooking pot. Next, I add about 5 stalks of celery I chopped up. I add ground black pepper and light salt just to taste. Next, I cut a piece of pork salt. Make sure you only cut enough for the amount of chowder you're making, because then it might become too salty if the piece is too big. When I was growing up, at our 4th of July picnics, my family would make this, and they would make it in a huge lobster pot. So of course they would use the entire brick of salt pork. I have the celery sauteing, and I added the salt pork directly to it, and then I'll give that a stir. I prepared the potatoes beforehand, but it's going to take a while for the celery to cook down. So while that's cooking, go ahead and chop up a bag of red potatoes into small cube-like pieces. The potatoes I used came from Walmart, and it was in a 3-pound bag. Notice I leave the skins on these potatoes. If you are using white potato, which a lot of people do, then you are going to want to take those skins off. You're going to want to peel those potatoes before cubing them up and putting them into your base. While I'm sauteing the celery and the pork salt, you'll see the pan is getting a little brown down there. You just want to keep stirring, because all I added at this point was a tablespoon of olive oil. I have not added any liquid yet. I'm waiting for the celery to turn a little bit more translucent. While I'm waiting for the celery to cook, I just want to point something out. Normally when I go to the grocery store, I can find in the seafood section fresh chopped clams in a tiny, tiny little container. They're around $12 here where I live for that size clam. While I was on the Walmart website, however, I came across this can of Snow's chopped clams, 51 ounces, and it was about the same price as the fresh clams in my seafood department. Now, having said that, I have never used this product before, but I can't imagine it would taste that much difference when everything is cooked down together. I don't think I'm going to notice that much, difference. So also, I've picked up a little jar of Snow's clam juice. Now, in my grocery store, this size can is available for just the juice, but at Walmart, I could only find this. So I don't think I'm going to need extra clam juice because of the size of this can. Usually I add a clam juice can this size anyway, so I figured this time I'm getting 2 for 1. I'm getting a can packed full of clams in its own juice, and I'm going to add all of this to my pot. Now that the pork salt had time to cook with the celery a little bit longer, I went ahead and added some clam juice. Next, I added the potatoes. Now I'm adding the clams and juice right from that big large can directly into the pot. You'll notice how the liquid does not come to the top of the pot, so I'm going to add some water. You want to fill that same can that the clams came from, you want to fill it to the top with water and empty it into your pan. By adding the water, it brought the liquid level up to the top of the pan, and now I will simmer this until it's done, stirring occasionally. I also want to note here, as I stir in all the ingredients together in the pot, you can see everything coming to the surface. I want to note that the last time I made this, it tasted better a few days later as it was able to sit. It got thicker and it got more flavorful. So, pork rind piece, you don't want to eat that. You don't want to chop it up into little pieces because then it will be hard to pick out. But, once it's done cooking, don't serve that to anyone. That goes in the garbage. After boiling the clam chowder for a few hours, maybe 2 to 3, depending on the size of your pot, it should have a little bit of a cloudy appearance. And that's it, you're done. I hope you enjoy this recipe. Thank you very much for watching.